Okay, so what if I told you that everything you've ever learned about finding enlightenment is completely backward? Today, we are diving deep into a text called The Architecture of Ruin. And let me tell you, this thing is dense, it's provocative, and it basically argues that real wisdom isn't found by looking up at the sky. No, it's found by digging your hands into the earth. This is a philosophical smackdown that flips everything we think we know on its head.
And this right here, this quote is the key to the whole thing. It's this wild paradox, right? The idea that real illumination doesn't come from some gentle, warm sunlight. No, it suggests you have to go through an incredible, transformative pressure deep inside yourself first. You have to be forged in the core before you can ever truly feel the sun. Let's hang on to that thought, because it's going to keep coming back.
All right, so to get our heads around this, we're going to break it down into 5 parts. We'll start with the inverted ascent, then the myth of the sky, meet the monster of order, witness the battle of lightning versus sulfur, and finish with the sovereign's ultimatum. Think of this as our map for the journey down.
So, first up, the inverted ascent. And this is where things get, well, inverted. This whole story is a pretty violent rejection of what it calls the high-altitude philosophy. You know, that classic, age-old idea that you find truth and wisdom by looking up, to the heavens, the sun, the clouds.
So what does our hero, Maximus, do? He does the exact opposite. He doesn't go up, he goes down. He's not looking for reality on the skin of the planet, as the text calls it. He's going deep beneath the volcanic soil. And that's the core of it, right? The central idea is that truth isn't something you just reach for politely. It's something you have to dig for, something you have to violently unearth from the very foundations of the world.
So, if going down is the new up, what does that say about our world right now? Well, that takes us right into part 2, the myth of the sky. This is where the text basically argues that all our traditional paths to finding wisdom, they're not just a little outdated, they are completely and totally broken.
And you can just see the massive difference here. On one hand, you have your old-school seeker, like Nietzsche's Zarathustra, staring up at the sun, waiting for an answer. But for Maximus, our modern guy, that same sun is just a distant spectator. The argument is that modern people have become too hollow to just soak up light from above. We need something more real, more foundational under our feet. And where does all this hollowness come from? The text points a big finger at something it calls the marketplace. And yeah, this is its metaphor for our entire modern digital life. It's a place of comfort, a place of what it calls invented happiness. But it's also a stagnant pool. We've basically traded real formative danger, the kind of stuff that actually makes you grow, for a safe, shallow online life.
And this is where the metaphor gets really good. The text uses Byzantine engineering to explain how we waste our potential. I mean, just think about it. We have these incredible tools, the knowledge of empires right at our fingertips. And what do we do with all that power? We build lids. We build ceilings, this mirror crypt that just reflects our own boring, shallow lives back at us, when we could be building engines, deep, powerful systems for genuine, earth-shattering transformation. Now, every good story needs a villain, right? But this one is not what you expect. Let's get into part 3 and meet the monster of order. Yep, you heard that right. The monster of order. It's described as the high priest of the thou shalt. You can think of it as the crushing weight of every single rule and expectation that society puts on you. Okay, so when you hear dragon, you think chaos, fire, right? Well, forget all of that. This is where the text just flips the whole script. In this story, the Crimson Dragon is not a beast of chaos. It's a monster of oppressive order. Its scales are literally made of thousand-year-old laws. They keep you safe, sure, but they also keep you completely stuck, stagnant. It's the ultimate force pinning you down. So this dragon is really a symbol for what the text calls the sovereigns of the ceiling. And who are they? Well, they're the leaders, the intellectuals, the systems, anyone who gets into a position of power and then uses all of it just to keep things exactly as they are. They guard the status quo, making sure no one else can ever truly rise up and overcome. So, how does this dragon keep us all in check? Well, the first method is called Fafnir's greed. And man, this one hits close to home. It's control through our shallow desire for social validation. That endless chase for likes, for approval, for recognition from others. It's a digital hoard of gold that keeps us trapped in a cave of our own making. The second method is way more insidious, though. It's called Nidhogg's gnawing. This isn't a big, flashy attack.
It's a slow, quiet, constant chewing away at the very roots of meaning in our lives. It's that creepy feeling of nihilism, the sense that nothing really matters anyway. And once that takes hold, it just drains your will and leaves you totally unable to act.
Okay, so all of this tension, this pressure, it all leads to the story's absolute climax, the internal battle. We're now in Section 4, Lightning versus Sulfur, the bioelectric revolution. This is where the real transformation happens.
The text calls this a chromatic conflict, which is just a really cool way of saying it's a battle of colors. On one side, you have this heavy, choking, red, sulfuric static. Think of it as the old world, all the guilt, the oppressive traditions, all that baggage. But fighting against it is bioelectric gold. This is something totally new. It's a fluid, active power described as a metaphysical electricity that you actually generate from inside yourself.
And here is the absolute key. At this make-or-break moment, Maximus doesn't pray. He doesn't look to the sky for a savior. He realizes that all those external forces, whether you call them gods or demons, are just spectators. They're just watching the show. The only power that can win this fight has to be generated by him, right here, right now.
So how is this new being, this beyond man, actually created? It's a brutal two-step process. First, and I love this language, he cannibalizes the challenge. He takes the very weight that was designed to crush him, and he uses it as fuel, as pressure to create his own internal lightning. Then, he shatters the sanctuary. He has to willingly destroy his own safe spaces, his history, his beliefs, everything, in a violent act of self-creation, just to finally break through to the open sky.
And that brings us to the very end, the Sovereign's ultimatum. Now, this isn't just a tidy little ending to a story, it's a direct challenge thrown right at us, the audience, who the text calls the last men, the ones just watching it all happen from the safety of our screens. After everything, the descent, the fight, the self-destruction, the forging, Maximus turns and asks the world one question: what is the first law of the sky?
And the answer is just devastatingly simple. There is no more roof. That's it. By smashing that mirror crypt, he's destroyed all the ceilings, the old rules, the comfortable lies. He's forced all of us into a state of active nihilism. There are no safety nets. The sky is wide open, but we are completely and utterly exposed.
And what kind of person emerges from this? The Beyond Man is not some peaceful, enlightened guru. No way. The text calls him a crystalline ice storm, a powerful, sovereign force of nature who learned to master the entire world only because he first went down and mastered the absolute depths of himself.
And so we end on this final, radical thought. For this new being, the world isn't a home you just live in anymore. It's raw material. It's clay, waiting to be fundamentally reshaped by a will that was forged in the core of the earth. And what you decide to do with that idea, well, that's the ultimatum.